Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. When you agree to a deal with someone, you make a deal. You agree to it because you have something in it, right? You profit of part of the deal, from the deal, right? So if I agree to sell you some cucumbers, you give me something in return, some money, something, services, something. I'm just not going to give you a cucumber and that's it. So the same is with a grain agreement, it's a Black Sea grain agreement. I said this before, and I was certain that the Russians will not extend the agreement after Turkey's elections. Before the Turkish elections, where Erdogan was supposed to win, I'll just put it that way, the Russians wanted to withdraw, to get out of it, to say we're not going to do it. But they extended it, we're going to stay a little bit longer. And I said then, in one of my videos, probably they wait for their buddy or friend, or anyway, Erdogan to win, and then they will just say, that's it, the grain agreement is done. They needed about, a month or so to say it like that, and now they're out. And you say, well, that's bad because, and now it comes the moral shaming. People die and it's because of you, and you stopped and you are responsible for, well, partly, but remember, a deal is a deal. So what was in that Black Sea grain agreement? What did the Russians get out of it? I mean, we know what the Ukrainians got, which is taking their grain, selling it to the rest of the world, to the partners, not the partners, to the customers, right? That's what Ukraine got out of it. What did the Russians get out of it? Well, and the other thing is the customers obviously benefited from getting grain, food. In this case, what did the Russians benefit? What did they have? Well, there were some little parts over there, which is called Part 2 of the Black Sea Grain Agreement, which gives the Russia certain perks. Remember, I give you cucumbers, you give me something in return. I can't just give you cucumber, which I let you, being a war over there, just you're going to supply the grain to the world, you get the revenue, and you're going to fight me. It's not going to work that way. So let's see what are the first part and the second part, and the reason why the Russians say, you know what, we were getting out. And then you have this pair European leaders from Brussels, which is Ursula von der Leyen, which is an unelected official, unelected by the citizens of Europe. Nobody went, okay, do you want her to be the president? Yes. It was among them over there that the little European Commission, they voted for her, not for her. She was put forward and it was yes or no. So anyway, she comes and says she's disappointed, and again, shame, blaming Russia, because of you the whole world is gonna starve. Hey buddy, I gave you cucumbers. What did you give me back? You bad. That's all you got? So let's see. I got three articles that I'm going to discuss in this video. Monday, July 17th, 2023. Kremlin announces termination of Black Sea grain initiative. And obviously these guys are blaming them. Peskov, quoted by RBC, reported by European Pravda, and I'm quoting, in fact, the agreements were terminated today. Peskov said the reason for the termination of the agreement was that, and I'm quoting, the part of the agreement concerning Russia has not been fulfilled. I didn't receive any money for my cucumbers, my man. So this is what they say. So let's go and see what these guys are saying, which is this weasel. European Commission President condemns Russia's suspensions of grain agreement. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the condemned the termination of the grain agreement. And she said, I strongly condemn Russia's cynical move to end the Black Sea grain initiative, despite the efforts of the UN and Turkey. This is what she said. All right, and said EU is working to ensure food security for the world's vulnerable. Okay, this is how this weasel rolls. So again, they will try to do it. They will discuss. It's too late. It's too late. Now let's go to the Russians and see what they say about this. So Sputnik, Russia suspends participation in grain deal. Suspends. Okay, so it's going to be temporary. If their part 2 is implemented. The suspension of the year-old Black Sea Grain Initiative comes up after months of controversy concerning Western countries' failure to implement its terms, specifically steps to facilitate the export of Russian foodstuffs and fertilizers. So it seems like the Western countries, again, like the Minsk I and Minsk II agreement, they followed very well, and again they fucked US Russia as the NATO expansion into the east, no inch eastward. Again, they didn't do it. According to Russians, Moscow has suspended its participation in the Black Sea Grain Initiative, but will be prepared to return to the deal as soon as agreements concerning Russia are implemented properly. They're not implemented, according to Russians. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov have said. You didn't hear this individual saying anything about that. It's just cynical. He doesn't say anything about that. No, why would you? The Europeans should not know the details. So, the grain deal, and I'm quoting, has been stopped. As soon as its Russian part is implemented, the Russian side will immediately return to the implementation of this agreement, Peskov told reporters on Monday. So let's go and see the grain deal, what the grain deal actually says, or at least according to Russians. The grain deal or Black Sea Grain Initiative is a two-part agreement signed in July 2022 by Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, and the United Nations to facilitate agriculture exports from Russia and Ukraine, two of the world's leaders on agriculture production who jointly account for over a third of global cereals exports. The first part of the agreement, the facilitation of the export of Ukrainian foodstuffs from Black Sea ports through waters controlled by the Russian Navy, have been implemented in full, the Russians say, with tens of millions of tons of grain, including corn, wheat, barley, and sunflower oil worth over $5.5 billion exported through safe corridors over the past year. This is a fact. They facilitated that. Everything worked over there. Now, the second part of the agreement concerning Russian food and fertilizer exports has not been implemented to anywhere near the same levels. So it was, but not the same levels, with the United States and the European Union failing to lift or ease sanctions restrictions, resulting in banks hesitating to issue loans for purchases of Russian grain, insurers refusing to provide insurance, and agricultural equipment producers halting sales to Russia and stopping the supply of spare parts and maintenance, all in fear of reprisals from Washington and Brussels. At the same time, Russia's agriculture-focused Roselknozbank remains disconnected from SWIFT. So they were supposed to ease some sanctions, and basically it's what these guys are saying. Finally, it says a section of the Togliatti-Odessa pipeline, which used to ship Russian ammonia for use in fertilizer to the Black Sea port of Odessa, was blown up by Ukrainian saboteurs in June, according to Russians, restricting Russia's ability to export fertilizers via traditional trade routes. I don't think the Russians blew it again, like they blew their own, remember, Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2 pipelines in the North Sea, in the Baltic Sea, I'm sorry, which these guys cannot find who did it. I tell you, come over here. So this is what it is, my friends, and we go here to what Putin says at the end of this article. Nothing, and I would like to emphasize this, nothing has been done at all in this regard. It's been a one-sided relationship, the Russian leader stressed, and I'm quoting again, despite this, we voluntarily extended this so-called deal many times, but listen, enough is enough. And again, I'm going to quote Putin, as for the conditions under which we had agreed to ensure the safe export of Ukrainian grain, yes, there were clauses within this agreement with the UN under which Russian interest had to be taken into account, including logistics, insurance, and transfer of funds related to payment for our agricultural goods, and many other points, Putin said. So, see, baby doll? See? Hey. She's looking behind. It's not gonna come from behind. It's coming from... Anyway, as always, the truth is somewhere in the middle. I don't think this guy didn't do anything for the Russians, but the thing is, again, the Russians got and those guys got the money. How many times these guys will learn that they cannot trust these guys? They cannot, including, if you remember, the Iranian nuclear deal. What did the Americans do? They just withdraw. Bye-bye, see you. We made a deal, we signed, the country signed. Now this administration decided, well, we change our mind. Well, is that how it works? Yeah. What are you going to do about it? Well, next time I'm not going to make a deal with you. Why would I make another deal with you when you withdraw on the first one that you agreed to? And nothing changed that you just withdrew out of it. You just want a better deal. So President Trump then said, these guys made a bad deal. We're going to withdraw. It was not like, oh, those guys are breaking the deal. No, those guys, the Obama administration, according to President Trump then, made a bad deal with Iran. We don't like it. We want to renegotiate it. Well, is there a clause somewhere there we can renegotiate? He didn't negotiate, he just withdrew. Now, how do you want to make a deal with that kind of person who doesn't... a contract is a contract. Remember what the Western weasels said when the Russians retaliated economically? This is how these weasels are not used to. These guys are not used to being punched back by the ones that they attack and impose sanctions. Libya could not do shit. Yugoslavia, nothing. Iraq, nothing. What's that? Syria, nothing. Afghanistan, nothing. They couldn't retaliate economically and militarily. They were too small. So they're not used to that. And they're always working in a coalition like a pack of wolves. You know, pack means courage, because you're not alone fighting many. You're many fighting one. That is, you're very courageous. One that is very strong, like Iraq, Libya, 4 million people. Great. Anyway, and not only that, I just mentioned them. So they're not used to be punched back, and they cry like female dogs when they're punched back by these guys. You know what? We're not going to do it. Huh? You bad. Well, why don't you look in the mirror first? Well, because that means you should have a little bit of, self-respect and introspection and, self-awareness and all that, which is kind of the same. Unfortunately, those guys will be hurt. Not the Russians, because Russians, according to them, we're not losing anything right now. We've been losing already. The Ukrainians will be hurt, but what, 5.5 billion that could be given immediately from our taxes as an aid. So that's not a big deal. Biden has to say, yeah, give them about $20 billion in aid. Ain't I a good person? Yes, I am. With your money. Very, very, very generous. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.